Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our final lower bracket round 12 game here in the Marvel Rivals Championship here on Asia PC. Tomorrow's game that we will have will be our first upper bracket semi-final. So get excited for that. Make sure you like and subscribe this video and hit that bell icon so that you too can jump on in when those games go live and check them out live. Or when the videos go up, not live. You want to check them out live, there is the main stream for that. Although when we hit 5,000 subs, I will be streaming as well. We're starting off on Birnin T'Challa here in this best of 5. Betrays on the left and Legit L on the right. Psylocke, Loki taken out. Groot and Adam Warlock are protected. Legit L, they do like that Adam Warlock, especially with Bibiak. Really enjoying that Star-Lord being one of their top heroes. And as such, they're going to take out Lunar Snow as well. But they do still need someone else to potentially drop in with the burst support ultimates. That is sensible. Betrays, they've done their research. They know what Bibiak is good at. They're going to take away that Star-Lord. We are still going to be seeing, though, the Adam Warlock composition. Adam Warlock, Mantis, and they are going to be bringing it in with the Invisible Woman so that they have that big support ultimate. Bibiak, though, will be swapping onto the Winter Soldier. Magneto makes it through. Ooh, interesting. They might move away from this. They might move away from the Adam Warlock, as there is the Rocket Raccoon and Winter Soldier composition available, which is what Betrays are looking at. They are also looking at that. They are currently looking at a 2-2-2. Sticking with the Mantis. Interestingly enough, now the Mantis can of course give a damage boost, which could give you some really solid value. But it does mean all of your healing is basically healing over time, which makes you very vulnerable to burst damage that Legit L could send in. Legit L, they are currently sticking with that Adam Warlock. We'll have to see if that's what they lock in as they begin the first push. Let's talk about the journey these two teams took to get here. And I'm on the wrong season. I was looking at season 0. We want season 1. No, I'm on season 1. I am just looking at the right one. So, these two teams took quite the journey to get here. Betrays got sent down into this lower bracket by Lobelia. They were then able to take down Ground Zero Gaming. Legit L, they were sent down in a 3-0 by Gen G Academy, and then were they then able to beat their longtime rivals Eternity Era in order to make it in here. We're starting off, heading into game number 1 of this best of 5. Let me introduce you to our players as the battle begins. Split is playing the Hela. Zerg99 is on the Winter Soldier, picking up the first elimination here. We have a name I can't read. I'll do a quick translation of that later. In fact, there's a couple names here we're going to have to do that for. They're on the Invisible Woman, though. Dawn is on the Mantis. Barcode will be playing the Doctor Strange. And another name I can't read is on the Groot. We'll do a translation in between the match, in between the rounds. They are Betrays. And on the right, it is Legit L with Seok-Hoon playing on the Mantis. November 24 is playing Adam Warlock. Ribasuko is on the Magneto. Rose fans on Invisible Woman. Bibiak is bringing out the Hela. And Doctor Strange is on the right. We'll do a translation of those names in between the rounds. But right now, point being held by Betrays as in comes the invisible boundary for both Invisible Women. But Rosefans is taken out, removing the boundary for Legit L. But Asuko was able to take down Dawn. Betrays are starting to get pushed off the point here. They were able to get up to 38%, 39%, and still counting. Bionic Hook does not land, and Legit L are finally able to take control. Aya Wakamoto came out, but it's not enough. There's no one to follow up, and Legit L drive them back and have been able to take the point for themselves. Immediately, they make their way to the main tunnel entrance to set up a containment. So, looking at these compositions, both teams went for a... Sorry, Betrays did stick with a 2-2-2. Legit L did go in the end for that Adam Warlock and the Mantis, and they lead on Hela instead of the Winter Soldier as their main DPS here. With Bibiak being the main shot. Playing quite far back, not playing on the containment as it's already been broken. Trying to just focus down onto anyone who steps out, landing a couple headshots even, and is able to pick off Barcode on the flank. Astral Flock up to the high ground, trading out with Dawn, who is battling up here. Going to be dropping that Soul Rejuvenation as they make their way up to the high ground. Going to rejoin the Groot. They're getting pretty heavily zoned here. Bibiak giving chase. Soul Siphon trying to land the finishing blow onto Dawn. Cannot do so. Using the bounce pad to really pressure Groot. Takes them out. Beautiful duel there. Goddess Descent for a little bit of extra pressure, a little bit of extra damage. Split on the counter. Hela portal to bring them back in. Has yet to really find as many targets as I'm sure they would have liked to at this stage. Taking a little bit of damage. Asuka. Quick magnetic curtain coming in from Asuka. Legit running a classic Asia frontline here of the Magneto and the Doctor Strange. Betrays, bringing in the Groot, who has really jumped up in the meta this time. Spore Bomb. Piling on some damage. Pulled in with the Soul Siphon. Bibiak takes to the sky with the Goddess of Death. Gonna try and melt through this front line. Getting hit from all angles, though. In comes Split into the air as well. They're able to take them down and wipe them out as they go into that invisible boundary. Pulled in with the straggling prison, though. If Zerg can get some resets here, then they can turn this in favor. November's already been able to get a double elimination, though. Bibiak also makes a double, and they sustained through a straggling prison. And that is going to be Legit L taking round number 1 in this best of 3 map. It's a best of 5 series, but each map is a best of 3 in its own right. And we already see the lead being picked up by Legit L. They've got some incredible players. Oh, let me get my translation stuff ready so that I can try and get these names correct out of respect. Okay, camera. Okay, who is Doctor Strange? Oh, it's Hadlu Road. I remember Hadlu Road. And we're going to have to tab for the... Oh, those names are a bit long. All right, what about Rocket? The Rocketers apparently don't live like that. I'm trying to make sure I just get the name. Yep, don't live like that is apparently the Rocket. And I can't get the full Groot name on screen right now, so I'll have to do that later. Alright, Betrays. This is probably just for a quick rollout. Not going to be bringing this to the battle, but don't live like that. And starting on the Jeff to give the team a little bit of a speed boost. Seong Hoon starting on that Wanda here, but it's not to actually play it. It's so Asuka can roll in with the team up right away, but it's not going to matter that much as their team has been absolutely wiped off the board here. Bit of a counter from Hadlu Road, was able to get a double elimination, but it's still going to be Betrays coming out very heavily ahead. November, though, going for a very early Karmic Revival to try and make sure that they're the team that gets onto the point first. Also, it's the start of the round, so they're going to give themselves the maximum amount of time to bring it back, and as such, Legit L will claim the point here. It's Betrays. They are going to start to regroup. Team rejoining as they make their way in. Soul Rejuvenation to try and push onto the point. Zerg looking for anyone to pick up earlier. Bionic Hook coming back up in 6 seconds. Could try and trap someone. Blocked by the shield. Shut down. I was looking at the wrong cooldown, but that was actually almost 6 seconds in general, so I got lucky there. But here comes the invisible boundary. Coming in, trying to get that extra protection. Meteor M absolutely wipes. Dawn, Zerg, Split, and even Don't Live Like This. Barcode will be taken out as well. And Legit L absolutely smashed that as they control the point. It's currently 27 to Betrays versus 23 for Legit L, but they have control and they just take the lead. Legit L, if they can take this, they take the lead in this series right off the bat here. We are, of course, in our top 8 here. Winner of this will move on to that lower bracket quarterfinals. Loser will be eliminated and have to wait until Season 2 in order to try again. Split taken down. Zerg forced a Soldier's Fist to get out of danger as they were getting focused down a little bit here. Hadlu Road has that Eye of Agamotto, and as such is playing hyper-aggressive. Barcode about to have theirs as well. And Betrays struggling to even make their way to the point right now. They are waiting, they're finally grouped up, and they're going to try and force the issue. But November already there, trying to do some damage, trying to keep them zoned, and of course Scout. This allows the attention of Hanlu Road to be drawn so they can try and make their way in to hold this choke point. Walls to split the team in two. Focus onto Hanlu Road. Gets the shield from Magneto. Eye of Agamotto comes on out. Stuns out the backline, but it's still going to see the invisible boundary to try and keep them up. I don't live like this. Is keeping the team up, but barely. Neither team's able to get the right angle for the moment as the Goddess of Death coming out to try and zone the entire team away. Soul Rejuvenation to shut this down. Straggling Prison coming out from the group media M. Eye of Agamotto. Wall to try and trap them, to try and stop them from pushing onto the point here. A split takes out November, but they have the Cocoon and the Karmic Revival if needed, but they might not need it as November takes out Split in response here. Soulbond to keep the team up, gets the final shot, and Karmic Revival for style. They know they got it. That's going to be game number 1, going over to Legit L in convincing fashion. Legit L absolutely smashing that. Nicely done. Rip Asuko takes the MVP. Well deserved, in fact. Legit L take the lead in the series. Betrays. Need to try and find it back. Okay, we can get the Groot's name in full now. So the Groot is... Oh, hang on. It's not liking it. All right, we need to set it to auto-detect again. Okay, detect language, camera... Sword and People 12. That's what it's assuming. It's assuming it is Sword and People 12. Believing this to be a Japanese name. What happens if I set it to Korean? Because I don't know what area this player is from. It does not even recognize that. The Man of the Sword. Or what? Knife Man's Death? It doesn't like that. It's probably not Korean. It does not like that at all. Can I look? Hang on, I have research. We want betrays. I know Wikipedia isn't always 100% accurate, but I can get it. It seems to think that they're all Korean. Huh, okay. Well, what do I do this? Well, that seems to think it's Chinese simplified. So it's just guessing languages here. I don't know. I'm going to call them sword because that came up several times throughout all of the translations. So unfortunately for once, I mean, I assume multiple times, we're trying our best here. I barely know English and we're absolutely getting bodied by languages we do not speak in alphabets that we cannot read. I'm trying my best. Either way, let's have a look at some of those statistics. Rip Asuko. 17 eliminations. They are beaten, though, by Bibiak with 22. Rip Asuko gets the MVP. Least amount of times getting eliminated is also Rip Asuko, not getting taken out once in that entire game. Slowly behind them, Seung-hoon, only getting taken out once. Doing pretty good job there. Top eliminations, as we said, goes over to Bibiak. Top final hits, also Bibiak with 12 final hits. Top damage, gonna be 15k7, 15k8. Asuko just out damaging Bibiak there right at the end by literally 23. 23 more damage than Bibiak. Top damage blocked. Going to be Sword on that Groot. 30k damage blocked. But they were taken out 5 times. Over double what we see from Hanlu Road. And top healing. 29k. Huge healing numbers. I need to retranslate that name. I've forgotten it. It's hard to keep up. I'm trying my best. But it is hard to keep up. Don't live like that. Gotcha. Okay, so we got sword, we got barcode, sword, don't live like that, and then Hanlu Road on the other side. Okay, lock in, Chris, lock in, Tetcher. You got this. Those are our stats, though. We're going to get set up for map number 2. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help this channel grow. When we hit 5k subs, I will be live streaming games in the future. And of course, you are if you become a member, you're helping this channel grow. You're helping me continue to make content, as I don't have sponsors. I don't yet. Who knows? Who knows in the future? Don't have sponsors. I don't have, I'm not paid by netties. I'm very easy to buy out, but I am not currently bought out. But I am available. I also have done some lands recently. I'm looking to do more in the future, so if you're a tournament organizer, then hit your boy up. You can become a member like John, Doki Poki, and Roshula. I don't know why I pronounced it like that the first time, but they are the ones who are helping keep this channel afloat. The ad revenue from all of you watching, reminder to turn off your ad blocker if you're watching me or watch with YouTube Premium, is super helpful. But memberships are reliable. I know what I'm going to get. It is so appreciated for the people who are out here helping me keep this channel afloat and keep making Marvel Rivals content for you all. For now, though, let's get ourselves set up for map number 2 in this best of 5 series.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place. I want to be first, work till it hurts. Dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives. You create thoughts. Never waste time. You got one shot. You got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5. No mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way. What I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they trap the chains, you can say no, free me.
And we are back for round number 2. Legit L on the defense of Yggdrasil Path this time, and Betrays on the attack. Betrays currently in a deficit. Legit L with the lead. Let's see if we change some strategies. For now, we're sticking with some similar stuff, but Betrays are mixing it up. Legit L, they ban out the Loki, they pick the Adam Warlock. Betrays, they start off with the ban on the Psylocke and secure the Groot once more. Seemingly happy with Sword's performance on that, they're going to lock it in. Going to take away the Star-Lord one more time. Betrays, very little has changed in their drafting style here. They just seem to believe in themselves. So they're going to keep with the similar draft and just try and play better. Legit L. They remove the Lunar Stone. They also believe, why break what is not broken?
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Gonna keep it simple. Invisible Woman, Adam Warlock. Will they go for the Hela again for Bibi Yak, or the Winter Soldier? Currently a little bit of an argument over who's going to play the Magneto and who gets to play the Doctor Strange this time. Looks like they're switching it this time. Hanlu Road this time on the Magneto, and Rip Asuko will be on the Doctor Strange, the opposite from the last game. Legit L. Already locked in, already comfortable, although Rocket has returned once again. Sending out the BRB, but I doubt we'll see Rocket leave the spawn. This is to buff out allies as they leave, and then they'll swap to someone like the Mantis, who can run in quickly. Betrays, they are currently hovering a Rocket, and they might leave with it, because Split is playing that Winter Soldier. We'll have to see if they do run out of base with it. Currently, Gogora is locking in on the Captain America. A little bit of aggro, potentially. They've yet to pick up armor, so I don't know if this is leaving spawn. Yep, there we go. Swapping out. But this doesn't mean they don't get armor, because they were busy running around doing very little. But Magneto returns once again. November Cosmic Clusters to try and burst through the shield of Strange. Sending out a couple shots, just trying to pile on the pressure. Bibiak did, in fact, go for the Hela. They're currently going to get a little bit isolated here, but trying to draw some of the aggro. Create a little concave to try and pressure onto Betrays, who are pushing in slow and steady, but they've yet to really be stopped. Legit L are just trying to concave them and pressure onto them without actually setting themselves up for anything. Bibiak has gone very far up here, causing quite the distraction, but they're the main damage dealer. This is risky. They're kind of leading a lot of pressure onto November here. Split waiting for an ammo invention here. The Seer coming out for the extra damage bonus. Legit L, they're not going down, but they're not stopping them either. The cart is just pushing in slowly and steadily, and nothing's being done. Ammo invention, so that they can just zone them away here. Here comes Strange. Barnacook. Slammed beautifully by Mantis, shuts that down. Invisible Boundary going to be coming in from Rose fans, but the Groot Wall is shutting down the counter engage. Eye of Agamotto, but is there enough damage at this point? Invisible Boundary coming out. Meteor M from Hanlu Road to try and break through, but they cannot do so. Dalgos don't live like that. Straggling Prison from Sword to try and take out Rose fans. Eye of Agamotto to capitalize, setting up for the Kraken impact. And they are pushing in aggressively now, but it's not enough. The Soul Bond to shut it down, and Karmic Revival to bring the team back into the fight. BRB returns split, but numbers are in favor of Legit L right now as Gogora has been focused down. November gets pulled in with the Bionic Hook and the Magnetic Curtain to try and hold the line. November can just cocoon their way back into the fight. Seer to keep the team topped up, and Dawn is doing some fantastic work right now, even though they were down a bit, trying to keep the team up. Not enough this time. They will lose split, and with the Goddess of Death from Bibiak, that's going to shut down this push. 1 minute and 35 seconds remain for Betrays to try and claim that first point, as Legit L have driven them back. We're seeing the Thing make its way in here. Hanlu Road mixing it up, adding a little bit of pressure. The Thing, a little bit risky when up against someone like a Groot. You can get walled away from your team, and it can be quite risky. Gonna try and pressure it. In the meantime, Betrays, they are running triple Vanguard as they brought out Gogora and Barcode, bring him back onto that Doctor Strange to try and tank on through. Seer, Kraken Impact. It's a triple with the Meteor M. It's a single with the Kraken Impact, and they capitalize on a full team wipe here. Split does not get any more resets, but they do claim the first point as Betrays will keep on pushing. Stun available with that clobber in time. Hanlu Road at the ready. The triple Vanguard. We've been seeing it sneak in, and Rocket is the perfect character for it. We'll have to see how much that continues with the changes to Rocket when Season 2 starts to come around. Clobbering time coming out. Big stun to try and lock him in, but with the Invisible Boundary set up, there's not really a follow-up. Barcode has that Eye of Agamotto, but it's going to be Asuko who comes in from above, finds no one, counter, stunning out Seong Hoon. They try to finish them off, and in the meantime, Bibiak is just sieging in from above, trying to snipe Dawn out of the air here, but Dawn finally is going to get picked off mid-flight. Great pickup. Split trying to take the 1v1, which they do. Very little effort there. Soldier's Fist, the second 1v1, grabs the map heal, Tainted Shock, and takes them down. Karmic Revival comes out from November so they can keep this hold going, keep the sustain up. Split winning 2 1v1s is now back in the fight with the infinite ammo and the Seer trying to focus onto the Thing to take him down. Groot will split the team in two. Kraken Impact to take out Adam and back in, looking for more, finds the Thing, and Benjamin is Benjagon. That even makes sense. That's how cool that was. A Split blasts on through, takes out the terrain to remove places that Legit L can use for cover. Another clobbering time is available, as is the Eye of Agamotto. Oh, they portaled them inside. Barcode on point. Realizing they'd won that fight, they lock them in the spawn, meaning that that second point is guaranteed to go over. to Betrays. Counter portal came in, but it's too late.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be
Nicely done, Betrays. Barcode mixing it up here, and Legit L forced to back up and wait a bit, go for a more defensive play. Stone Aegis getting them out of there. Trying to find the right angle. Asuko has Eye of Agamotto. Meteor M available for Gogora. An invisible boundary is up. Well, don't live like this. Gogora getting focused down. Asuko, lot of damage. Groot wall set up. They're in serious trouble, but their team is able to pop the wall. Big stun, covering time to make space for Asuko, and that's immediately going to force that invisible boundary. In comes Barcode into the backline to try and take him down. Rip Asuko with the counter to try and turn this round, and it works out beautifully. Down goes everyone on Betrays. And that was a good setup. Betrays trying to get the counter set up with Barcode, but Asuko was already in position and on point to pressure on in and get the counter, giving their team some time to respawn and then some time to control that fight. 1 minute and 28 seconds left. As Betrays trying to push on in. Sia coming out right away to get the extra damage output here. Sword trying to make some space, trying to push on in. Straggling Prison at the ready, but being held. Kraken Impact also at the ready, but Split is taken down. There's no BRB. Pushing in. How long is Sword willing to wait? Will they go in without the Winter Soldier there? Spore Bomb's doing some good damage. In the meantime, Gogora is completely zoned out, barely getting away, coming back at the BRB as they were in fact taken out. More Spore Bombs up to the high ground. It's forced to retreat out of Betrays as they have 45 seconds left. Groot on the flank, looking for that straggling Prison, trying to lock him down. Wall comes in. Eye of Agamotto comes on out immediately. Invisible boundaries coming in from Rose fans to try and turn it. Split gets wiped by a Meteor M as November is dropping huge damage up in here. Bibiak dropped down to almost lethal, but they're holding on to their ultimate until the last possible push. But they might need it if the team continues to get picked off here. But Bibiak, only real ones are full. Betrays have lost 2 members. Bardic Hook not landing. 10 seconds. Who can touch the point? Portal is available, but they need to be not dying to get it off as they get picked off. The sleep from Seong Hoon, and that will shut down the push as Legit L hold. 2 points, 76.22 meters.
including which side you're on.
Now Legit L
You'll need a top-notch
just
team
have to
save
push in that little bit further. Legit L now on the attack. How do they mix up their composition? We'll have to see. Betrays. They're sticking pretty similar here. In fact, exactly the same. Just running the same thing. Groot's good on the defense. Triple Vanguard. They got some really good momentum. Although Barcode may be looking to swap off. But it's currently all locked in. Legit L, they are also going to run the same thing.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
So far, no changes at all here. Seong Hoon going to send out the BRB just so the team is topped up at this early stage. As Betrays set themselves up for the defense. Dawn arriving with the team. BRB at the ready. Where do they put it?
The battle starts in 5.
Up high. It is spottable here, and as such, they're going to cancel it. This is quite far away from the team. The BRB does have a pretty short range. You can see that Groot is currently in range of it, but if they push up any further, they're likely going to be losing that range. Trying to push on in. Legit L. They're the ones who need to try and break this siege right now. Shield for the Doctor Strange to make it so that Rip Asuko can try and pressure in, can try and just get burst damage, but against triple Vanguard. Betrays aren't seeming to find the right option here. There comes the Soul Bond. And we are going to see the pickup. Down goes Sword, but they're brought back at that BRB. Spore Bomb up onto the high ground. Trying to pressure in, group wall to zone them in two, to try and split the team. And they're going to try and make the most of this situation, to capitalize, to dive on in, to try and take down the members of Betray's invisible boundary, to capitalize even further, to push on in. A split has the Kraken impact already out of Warlock, is dropped down. They will hold on to that ultimate to make sure that they have it for the next push. November reviving from the cocoon up onto the high ground, but it's going to get zoned out by Split very aggressively as Bibiak takes to the sky with that Goddess of Death to wipe out the defenders. Gogora is down. Bibiak is doing huge work here, but here comes Split, taken out immediately by Rose fans, and Bibiak gets yet another. Legit L pushing in. Rip Asuko. Portal. Not just for cover. Counter portal. Both teams portaling. Up to the high ground. Betrays getting their team in. Barcode setting them up. Bibiak will be the first to fall. November does have the Karmic Revival, holding on to it for the moment as they're getting focused down. Soul Bond through the shield of Magneto so that they can get that extra protection. Straggling Prison. Soul Bond is still up, so they get a little bit of protection, but it will expire. But it does not matter. Asuko and Hanlu Road absolutely melt through them here. But there's the quick revive. Eye of Agamotto onto the front line. November is down once again. Bibiak has brought in Spider-Man to try and break this. But they can't seem to find the finishing blow. Will be forced to back away, swinging out and retreating back to spawn. They know their team's probably going to have to regroup. They might just go back in and re-swap into the Winter Soldier or the Hela once again. And we are back to the Hela. November.
I feel better already.
Has the high damage output here, but Bionic Hook pulled on in, will be forced to back away. Sword has swapped off the Groot onto the Venom for fast rollout and for a little bit of pressure onto that backline. Coming in from behind to try and take out Mantis, but it's too strong here. Eye of Agamotto from Asuko as they try to burst through once again. Legit L, but with 3 Vanguards, it's so hard to finish the job here. Gogoro Meteor M, but wasn't able to find the finishing blow. Invisible Boundary matching with the Soul Rejuvenation, but Seong Hoon's ultimate will expire first. Don't live like this. Is trying to keep the team topped up, healing them as best as they can. Venom is quite far forward, but of course one of the hardest characters to eliminate will be retreating to the backline to get out of danger. Here comes another Hela ultimate. The Goddess of Death is cleaned out quickly, but they took down the BRB onto Gojira to try and burst on through. We're gonna see Venom taken out. Dawn with the Seer to try and give enough burst damage to finish them on through, but with the Invisible Boundary, Rose fans trying to keep the team up, but they're taken down with the Eye of Agamotto from Barcode, and suddenly Legit L have the momentum. Karmic Revival to bring them back. Betrays. I've got a triple elimination, and immediately they're back into that 6v6 once again. Gojira goes down. We're in overtime. Legit L, they just need to get the momentum. They find Invisible Woman. Don't live like this. Don't live at all as they eliminate the Invisible Woman, take out the defenders, and while it took a lot longer, Legit L will be able to take point number 1. Through the overtime, they now have 2.5 minutes left to counter push. A lot of damage coming in from that Psionic Vortex, but November healed up nice and quickly. Making their way in, sniped completely by Gojira though. Magneto damage output is legitimately insane if you can land it. Soul Siphon coming in. November comes back through the cocoon. Ammo Invention onto Split as they do huge damage into the backline. Cover being taken behind the card here. Spider Cook, blocked by the shield. Eye of Agamotto coming out. Soldier's Fist to try and get out of danger, and that gets them in range for the invisible boundary. Kraken Impact to try and counter, but Bibiak is taken to the sky. Invisible boundary is blocking a lot of it, but they will get taken down. Gogora with the double elimination with that Meteor M. Seong-hoon will revive from the cocoon. November does not have it left available, and this will put a stop to legit L's push. Asuko taken down by Split. Split trading shots with Bibiak. Bibiak has the hit scan with that Hella. Split not so lucky, but they still do insane damage output. Trying to look onto November. Not able to find it yet. Spider Cook. Just short of finding Hanlu Road.
Only 60 seconds left.
Making their way in. Ultimates. Meteor M available for Hanlu Road. We almost have Karmic Revival back up once again. 61% from Invisible Boundary for the Invisible Woman for Don't Live Like This. And Eye of Agamotto is at the ready. Sia and Kraken Impact almost there. Betrays are about to have an ultimate advantage here. November was taken out once again, but they do have Karmic Revival. If they can make their way back to the team, they might be able to save them because Asuko is already down. Bibiak is down, and November is miles away. They're just going to have to regroup with 30 seconds remaining and save it for then. Legit L just going to be regrouping here. The cart is close, so it's not too difficult for them to reset up and regroup and push on in. And to make their way down to the low ground with the rest of the team. Split. Try to focus the damage in. If they can get an early pickup in this fight, if they can get Adam, it would be the best possible target. Once again, Spider Cook blocked out by the Shield of Strange. Pushing on in. Sia for Betrays as they try and capitalize. Kraken Impact. They get Adam. Exactly what we say, but Cocoon is available so they can try and take it in. Meteor M is able to snipe out Split, but they come back in the BRB. November returns. Karmic Revival to bring back Seong as they push on in. Pushed back. Meteor M from Gogora to try and take out any of the attackers. They don't find any good targets though, but Bibiak, who was on the Winter Soldier now, has been taken out. Asuko has the shield from Magneto, but needs a target for Meteor M. No, Eye of Agamotto for the turnaround as they try to take it through. Asuko takes out Gogora, Split goes down, and Legit L are doing everything in their power to try and keep this overtime going, to try and keep this push going, but they're being delayed. Sword on that Venom is trying to buy time, will get taken down, and the push continues, but it is overtime. Bibiak swapped to the Wolverine to try and keep this going, meaning the only range damage here is going to be November and Seong-hoon, both of which do have pretty reasonable range damage. I have Agamotto available for barcode for the turnaround play here, but that's basically all there is. Sia almost ready. Feast from the Abyss almost ready. Legit L, Meteor M, almost ready. Karmic Revival already back up to 72% again. Charging so fast as November. Here comes the Sia, and this is Betrays to try and end it. They can force them off the point here. Great psionic push coming in there from Rose fans. Meteor M to break the defenders, but it's not enough. Does not find him. Hardly Road is forced to shield as the invisible boundaries coming out from Don't Live Like This. Rose fans has their own. Might have to use it here because they're being focused down. They gotta hold their point. If they're forced off the point for even a second here, it's all over. In comes Bibiak to try and hold it. Karmic Revival being dropped to bring back Seong-hoon to try and hold the line, but they got to make sure the people are on the point. Currently, it's 4 people on the point to 2. Try to hold it. Barcode focus down, starting to get outnumbered. Betrays are giving everything they can to try and hold this. Portal to block them out, to trap them in the spawn, just so they can keep that cart moving to guarantee the first point. Did Asuko make it? That's not a great angle. That portal will not be trapping people, but the cart is almost there. They've rushed it, but it does not matter as Legit L will be able to reach point number 2. It's all down to distance now, 76.22 meters. If Legit L can take this, then they will be up around. They'll be up 2 rounds and 1 round away from moving on to that lower bracket quarterfinals. Eye of Agamotto, Meteor M from Gogora. Last stand! Bibiak is trying to melt them. Seong-hoon will fall, but they have Cocoon. will be revived immediately. Ben is trying to burst on through, is trying to sustain, hold the point, give time for their team to respawn. Stone Aegis onto Strange so that they can try and hold this. Hardlu Road has Meteor M up to the high ground, looking for Split with the Meteor M, but the Soldier's Fist is able to dodge it out here. Split takes out November 24 as well. Asuko goes down, and Split is popping off right now. Trying to get up to Bibiak, chases them down. And now 30 seconds remain. Legit L, it's all they've got left. They can get one more push. That's all they need. Karmic Revival coming out right next to the spawn just to make sure that they keep the numbers going, pushing on in. Barcode, 30%. Invisible Boundary immediately coming in here. Big stun out here from Sword to try and finish them off, to try and take him out. Bibia goes down. Here comes the Invisible Boundary from Legit L to try and buy the extra time as Kraken Impact will be coming in. Blocked by the shield, no more reset. Split will find nothing. Dawn brings back Sword to keep that momentum, to keep the bodies on the board. Asuko is dropping low. Ultimates are not available for either team, but a couple are almost there. Seok Hood goes down, no Cocoon available. Media M coming in to buy time, to do damage. Gojiro with their own as well. Gojiro will take out November 24. Aya Magamoto from Barcode to force them off the point. It's starting to tick down. Wolverine to hold. Hardlu Road to hold. But they're forced off the point.
2, 3.
And Betrays takes the series there. Takes the round in a 2-3. Bringing our series up to a 1-1. MVP to Split. Nicely done. 1-1 in this best of 5 series. And Betrays are on the board in the game. And MVP Splits 40 eliminations. Highest in the game, just beating out Rip Asuko, who got 34. 40 eliminations, getting taken out 11 times. But topping the final hits count as well with 22. Gogora with 16. Rip Asuko with 16. It's a very tank-friendly game, this one. Least amount of times getting eliminated. It is going to be a 4-way tie between Hardlu Road, Barcode, Dawn, and Don't Live Like This. Top damage. 43k. Asuko gonna take it. They got 16 final hits of 43k damage. They played aggro. That Doctor Strange working. The Venom working. They just really went ham. They're also going to have the most damage blocked. 77k. Beating out Sword by 2k. And beating out Barcode by 4k. Hardlu Road quite a bit further behind this time, but still was doing huge work for their team, not getting taken out very often, just trying to make sure their presence was felt, just so they were always on the board. Top healing, gonna be going over to Dawn. Nope, I stand corrected. Gonna be taken by Don't Live Like This. 71k. 5k more than Dawn. A little more spread out on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now down to a 1-1 in our best of 5 series. Both these teams need 2 wins to move on. Remember, the losing team will be eliminated. We're going to head to a quick break, and when we come back, it'll be map number 3 in this best of 5 series.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. I can't contain it, I'm coming out with a statement. You really changed, man, all your music and arrangement. You don't know shit, shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity's contagious. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. A college graduate suppressing all his talents, yeah. He found a way to go and change, become an advocate. For taking control of your life, go out and battle. And you think you have a dream, then act on it. Get after it, get out your head and fucking capture it. You got one life to master it. Don't give up on your future, we all start losers. We're all late bloomers, gotta struggle through the sewer. What you say? Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
And we are back for map number 3, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading to Midtown for our our third map, our second convoy map. We're starting off with Legit L on the bads. Betrays are now on the left. Legit L on the right, with Betray starting off on defense as Namor is taken out by Legit L. Psylocke once again going to be bad. Will Betrays finally allow Bibiak to bring out that Star-Lord? They really want it. There's going to be the Groot once again protected for Sword. Even though they didn't run it all of that game. There's Star-Lord, and that kind of forces Betrays to ban out the Star-Lord. Adam Warlock, was the save. Legit L. They take out Rocket. It was a little too inconvenient. That sustain, the revives, and of course the power with Split on that Winter Soldier. And no surprise here, Betrays are going to take out the Star-Lord.
Heroes could make all the difference.
And we're actually seeing November considering not going for Adam here. They're rotating for a couple options. Luna Snow made it through the bad phase this time. See Luna Snow, gonna see Loki. Now you can still see an Adam Warlock come in here because Loki can clone that and get multiple revives. We've seen a couple teams go in for that strategy. Have to see if they go with it. For now though, Betrays, they are sticking with a 2-2. No, they're sticking with their 3-1-2. Going for that triple Vanguard once again. It worked out last game, so they bring it back for another go.
Stay strong.
Legit L. Remember, these are multiple players who got third in Season 0. There are some incredibly high-level players in this team. They're going to be sticking with a 2-1-3 as they have been running most of the time here. Neither team going to be self-shielding here
Starts in 5,
with the Rocket Raccoon.
3, 2, 1.
Portal to zone the team. And quick swap here. Ah, look at this. Legit L with fast reactions. If you're going to trap us in base, we're going to shoot at you. Bringing out the Black Widow, bringing out the Hawkeye. Yeah, buy some time, but they can get some pretty decent damage out of this.
Shake it up.
Also bringing out the Hulk as a last-second switch for Hanlu Road here. There we go, swapping back onto their main options again. They dropped a lot of damage output with that here. High ground zoned away, allowing Legit L to step onto the point. But that high ground on the building, very hard to actually assail. But there's the Coca Levitation. They're going to try and commit to it. Rip Arsico playing very well with verticality here to make their way up and down, dancing in and out of the fight here. Now they are running that Gamma team up from the Hulk. The Gamma Maelstrom now very effective, stunning Groot as they step to the side, forcing them down into the lower ground, so they're now in danger of getting picked off. Indestructible Guard to protect Asuko as they try and push their way in. In the meantime, Bibiak is up on the opposite building, doing good damage, trying to find targets. Got his descent down to the low ground. Getting knocked back, though, the high ground of Gogora. Doing huge damage here. Seung-hoon going to be cloning the Lunar Snow here so that they can match Dawn when Dawn goes for the invisible boundary as they do not have their own Lunar Snow. But here comes that Fate of Both Worlds. As we predicted, Seung-hoon trying to keep the team sustained up, but with November down. November moving off of the Adam Warlock is bringing out the Winter Soldier here. They've given up on the triple strategist. They're just going to try and break this with a little bit of extra DPS. Sticking with the Hulk, though. Hanlu Road. Up to the high ground, helping the team push on through. A little bit of damage, take out the group walls, remove their ability to control that high ground. Good damage, Magneto Shield and the Indestructible Guard to try and hold that line. The cart, slow but steady, moving forward for Legit L, betrays with their hyper-sustaining composition. Eye of Agamotto comes out, finds no one, but Bibiak takes to the sky with the Goddess of Death, trying to break through, but is in fact taken out of it quite quickly. Forced to back up, gets Kraken impacted as in comes Split. Capitalizing through, Meteor M took out November as well, and Split set themselves up beautifully here. Bionic Hook to lock down Hanlu Road, and Betrays shut down Legit L again as Bibiak moves over to Wolverine. Triple Vanguard, try and melt it. We will likely see Sword swap over to the Thing to try and deal with that as this game goes on once we see them getting taken down on that Groot. Someone who isn't going to get knocked back by the Wolverine can protect the other tanks by following them in if they get isolated. But they're still going to try and make this happen. November taking shots, downrange, dropping low, but still doing good damage. Taking out the regeneration domain lamps. Bionic Hook, beautifully done onto Gogora to try and finish them off. But Gogora is able to sneak away as the straggling prison comes in. Asuko trying to keep the team up, but we've already lost Hanlu and November. A beautiful counter by Sword there. Another Bionic Hook, this time from Split. And the timer is ticking down, and Betrays are shutting this out beautifully at this point. Bit of a knockback, Split, is trying to keep the team split in two. Overtime will get ticked thanks to the push in here. Gogoro with the Meteor M. Down goes November. Down goes Hanlu. And Legit L are starting to get forced off the point. Rosefans has bought so much time with that extra healing from the Fate of Both Worlds. As in comes Bibiak trying to deal with the front line, but they need to make sure they're touching the point. Backing up onto it, but taken down. And it looks like Legit L may be forced off here, but two members down. Don't live like this. Gogora both down off the point, buying some extra time. Straggling prison for Hanlu Road, but they're off the point. 0 meters, 0 points, 102 meters, and 3 centimeters.
You'll need a top-notch team
Legit
to win this one.
L. They now have to put on the defense of their lives here to try and save this and put themselves onto match point. Betrays. Sticking with basically the same composition. The 3-1-2. Legit L. Looks like they are taking a little bit of a leaf out of Betray's book, and they are also bringing out the 3-1-2. Strange Groot Magneto. Bringing it back in for
30 seconds
one
before you attack.
defense.
Get ready.
They now have to just hold. Less than 100 meters would be perfect.
We can stop our enemies cold.
This is absolutely doable.
You are the Winter Soldier, aren't you?
I think something may have got
Bibiak
lost in translation.
has been doing so much damage on these duelists, so bringing out one of the highest damage vanguards.
3,
See how well they can do. A lot of pressure now onto November on that Winter Soldier as the dueling begins. This round is going to take a long time, I feel, because both teams are going to really struggle to eliminate the other. But they're still going to duel it. Hanlu Road already dropping down Regeneration Domain. Not enough to save them here. Barcode trading out with Rose fans. Seong-hoon, November, and Bibiak are being cleaned out right now, but they're still trying to contest back. Bibiak falls, but November is sustained. They will heal, backing up, trying to keep the pressure onto the charging members of Betrays, as Betrays are piling on the pressure right now. There's the finish line. The car is far away from it. It's the fight that has pushed all the way up to here. This is where they have to take their stand here. Betrays want to try and push in. Legit L using the ambulance as cover. They're trying to make the correct angle. Tainted Shock hits basically everyone here. Kraken Impact at the ready. Bionic Hook, not enough for a finishing blow. Kraken Impact right off the bat takes out Dawn. And they're even able to get Sword. They get Barcode. And that is going to be a huge reset stream. Ooh, the terrain blocking the shot. If they'd hit that, then they would have got another reset off of that Loki clone. Now Legit L, they do have the God of Mischief. They have the Fate of both worlds. Betrays have every ultimate except for Eye of Agamotto. Asuko almost does have that for Legit L, as they're starting to get a lot of those ultimates back. Split piling on the pressure. Looking for any angle. Seong-hoon onto the Lunar Snow clone, matched Dawn onto the Invisible Woman, strangling Prisons at the available for both groups. Both are looking for the right angle here. Here comes the Fate of both worlds and the Invisible Boundary, both coming in at the same time. Bibiak comes in with the Media M to try and burst on through the front line. Eye of Agamotto came out from Asuko as Bibiak took down one. Down goes Sword, and Legit L are once again taking another fight. 1 minute and 47 seconds left. Straggling Prison and Fate of both worlds still available. With Kraken Impact just around the corner for Legit L. Goldra, Meteor M, Invisible Boundary, and Eye of Agamotto are available for Betrays. A little bit of pressure from the low ground. Trying to get that cart moving. Hook levitation up to the high ground, trying to get the pressure in. Goldra, Meteor M doesn't find a target, but Sword takes out Hanlu as they try to make their way in. Straggling Prisons were used by Sword, but Hanlu has theirs, but they need to come back to use it. Rose fans pushing in. Eye of Agamotto almost completely blocked. No one is found here. Here comes the Fate of both worlds to try and hold this as Legit L. That cart crept a little bit further forward. It's 91 versus 102. 11 meters is all that's in it right now. Groot returns to the team, has that Straggling Prison. Eye of Agamotto going to be coming down from Rip Asuko. Straggling Prison onto Dawn, but it's only getting clones. November gets the real one as Kraken Impact comes on in from November to try and break the attackers, and they do. It's another full team wipe. Dawn forced to wait at spawn here as Betrays. They now have 27 seconds left. That is one push, two if they're lucky. Portal to trap them in spawn here to buy a little bit of extra time. Asuko takes out Don't Live Like This. Split with a Kraken Impact to try and turn this. Barcode falls as Legit L are holding the line right now to take their lead in the series. Here comes the charge in for Betrays. One last chance. Bibiak with the Meteor M at the ready as they try and hold on to the point. Fate of both worlds. Straggling Prison to try and burst on through it. Barcode brings in the things. They can charge in more aggressively. Gogo against November. Rose fans goes down. Legit L, they're starting to fall in overtime. Asuko is low. They need to keep them up. That's going to be a lot of damage onto that magnetic barrier. Meteor M, they've got to land. They need to make sure they're touching the point. That's a great Eye of Agamotto, but it's not enough to focus on through. Where is the team? The cart, straggling Prison. Hanlu Road is trying to buy time, trying to delay. Overtime is ticking down, but that cart is moving forward, pushing in. There's nothing November can do, and in overtime, Betrays take the round and will go up 2-1 in this best of 5, one game away from moving on to that lower bracket final. Lower bracket quarterfinals are calling right now. Oh, that stutter, good lord. What a setup. Betrays 2-1 versus the third place team Bibiak. Nowadays known as Legit L. Just replying to a message. Apologies all. Apologies. So, eliminations. 21 from Sword. Doing so much work for their team. So few final hits. That was a one-round game, basically. Only 9 minutes. 8 final hits, which is the second highest. It's a tie at the top. Split and November, both of 9. Least amount of times getting eliminated. Tie, once again. Don't live like this. And Seong-hun, both only getting taken out twice. Top damage. It's much closer, but it is going to go over to November by just under 1,000 with 18k. The only player to break 18k. Rip Asuko is actually the second highest in the damage with 17 and 9. Only behind by about 500. Top damage blocked. Also, again, quite close, but it's going to go over by about 500 once again to Sword. Doing huge work for their team. And the top healing. Going to go over to the MVP. Don't live like this. 30k. 3k more than Dawn. 4k more than Seong-hun. And even going to be 8k more than Rose fans. Nicely done. Well played. 2 betrays. They take the lead and are now on match point. If they can take map number 4, they are moving on to that lower bracket quarterfinal. Or will we see Legit L begin to make the comeback? The winner of this match will be playing against the loser of Lobelia and Genji Academy, who are no longer Genji Academy, despite what Wikipedia says. They are now just looking for org. They appear to have parted ways with Genji. But we'll talk about that when we cover those games, which will be in 2 days' time, I believe. For now, though, let's find out who wins this series as we head to a quick break while I get set up for map number 4. We are heading into map number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Symbiotic Surface is where we are going. Betrays on match point on the left. Legit L. Only with 1 point on the board are on attack. The bands are finally shifting. Betrays protecting the Loki and a Warlock still being protected by Legit L. But Groot has finally been deemed worthy of a ban. What are we seeing? Legit L. They're going to take away the Winter Soldier. Nicely done.
right heroes could make all the difference.
Legit L. And still not getting their hands on that Star-Lord. Not so good for them. Betrays. They are going to be getting basically everything they want, although currently hovering a Captain America again. I don't think that'll come in. Yet Magneto is available. But I'd be excited to see. As we head on in, we'll immediately see a BRB. Before we will likely see Rocket swapped off to that lunar snow.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds.
Unless they do plan on bringing out the Rocket. They brought out Rocket before when they had Triple Vanguard. But lunar snow with Loki and the Maud, it would be crazy not to see it. So, Betray sticking with their 3-1-2. It's been working well for them. Legit L. Currently looking at a 2-2-2. 2 Vanguards, 2 Duelists, 2 Strategists.
3, 2, 1.
Let's see if they stick with it. Young-Hun over to the Loki.
You have to stop them
Not
from
too
securing
surprising.
the mission area.
Almost a mirror match. We're seeing Sword bringing out the Thing instead of a second damage. Otherwise, these teams are almost identical. Of course, no Hela for Betrays due to the fact that they are Triple Vanguard. Is Asuko going to be portaling their team in? No, they're going for the flank. Breaking that wall so they can get some shots onto the point if they need to. Using the bridge, pushing their way in, trying to break the defense position. Making their way forward. November on the Namor, already down on the low ground. Getting flanked pretty aggressively here by Split. Trying to win the duel, not able to find the finishing blows. Finds the frozen spawns, takes them out. In the meantime, Bibiak is looking for headshots. If they can take out that Namor, it would remove so much of the defense. Bibiak down to the low ground. Doing some very good damage here. Trying to hold the line. Taking out the summons, but getting focused down. Needs some healing. They're a bit far away from the rest of their team. Astral Flock up to the high ground. Will finally get healed up by the Loki. Betrays. Holding the point for the moment. Not giving away a single percentage yet. Finally taking out Bibiak. Legit L. This is a very slow fight. But we're finally starting to see Betrays cleaning out one by one. A Split forces back Legit L. And that took a lot of time. 2 minutes and 11 seconds left already. Betrays in trouble here. Sending out those Oceanic minions. A little bit of zoning off to one side. In the meantime, November trying to push in on the flank, getting some good damage of their own. Sword taking down some octopuses of their own. Stone Aegis into the front line. They've got that clobbering time, waiting for the team to group up though, as currently they're pretty split out. Here comes the Fate of Both Worlds from Dawn. Aya Agamotto, Xiaoga with the second Fate of Both Worlds. Both teams trying to lock their way through. That's going to be a great clobbering time, and it's enough to take out November and Rose fans, as once again Legit L are forced off the point. Meteor M shut down, put on the half cooldown due to the Earthbound from the Thing. You see that so rarely. It is possible. It requires almost frame perfect input, but it is doable, and we just saw it. It's on the half cooldown though.
60 seconds left.
Gogora putting in a lot of damage output here. Fate of Both Worlds available for both teams. Horde of Proteus, though, is available for Legit L if November can find the angle here. They don't have any crowd control from their team to set up for it, so they're kind of reliant on the first initial engage. Sending in the shots, taking out some Loki clones. Now onto that Thing as it piles on the pressure. Stone Haymaker, Eden in the face. But still tagging through. Meteor M, round number 2, coming in from Hanlu Road, does not find it. Gogora trying to match it, but with the fate of both worlds from both sides, neither team's able to get the advantage. Horde of Proteus will take out Dawn though, and down goes Don't Live Like This. With sword removed, we're gonna see legit L with seconds left. Clean out the defense here, and they're finally gonna take point number 1 in overtime. Point activated. Legit L gonna begin to push on in. Playing aggressive. No compositional swaps as of yet. Betrays. Just setting themselves up for a bit more of a passive defense here. Slow and steady with this much tankiness. Just waste as much time with your opponents as possible. Stone Haymakers for that consistent 50 shields. As long as they take less than 50 damage each time or get healed up, they're going to get a lot of sustain out of this. Clone coming in. Seong-hun onto the Lunar Snow quite early. Dawn going to be matching because they know it's coming. Taking out November with the snipe. Clobbering time from Sword as they try to burst on through, but with the fate of both worlds, we're not going to see much happen in here. Horde of Proteus, though, does take out Rose fans. Legit L losing 2 members there. Betrays have driven them back once again. Bibiak has that Goddess of Death holding onto it for the moment as they wait for the team to regroup up to the high ground. On the flank, so they can shoot past these shields. They've got some good cover here as well. It's a very good damage. Aya Magamoto into the backline. Here's the counter dive. Asuko stunning them down, but already Rose fans is taken out and again Betrays. Get a 1-for-0. Looking to take out Bibiak as well, but this time they're able to tank on through. Meteor M at the ready. Don't live like this. Has that fate of both worlds. Rose fans just picks up theirs. Rose fans dropping theirs quite early. That's going to be a clobbering time. Interrupted. Horde of Proteus. Meteor M to take out November, who just ulted as Bibiak will snipe split with that Goddess of Death. Currently uncontested as everyone who could really contest him is already down. Sniping Dawn around the corner as well as they push on in. Big damage onto Barcode, taking them out. Gogora moves in, but is taken down as well. It's all time wasting though. They know they're going to get picked off if they run, so why not step onto the point and buy extra seconds? Exactly what we're going to see here. Asuko looking to try and portal. Trying to go for a portal denial. They've created a little bit of a mess here, making it a little harder for them to step on, but they do make it through. Legit L having to try and take the fight. Meteor M from Hanlu Road to try and burst on through, but they tank it. Fate of both worlds from Dawn being matched by Seong-hun. November dropping low. Horde of Proteus snipes them though, but Split is picked off in exchange by Bibiak. Sword trying to hold the line, gets stunned down by Luna, and then stunned down by Strange, but they are still Benjamin J. Grimm. They are still the thing, holding the line, buying time, as overtime begins to tick down. Legit L, they're bringing everything back. Hanlu Road onto the Captain America, so that they can get to the point faster, so that they can try and contest for their team. The card is held. The thing still holding. Dawn drops low, but tanks on through. Hanlu Road has arrived and is now in the backline, creating pressure and causing a distraction. Goddess of Death from above. Bibiak to try and break the defensive line. Takes out the backline. Don't live like this. Don't live at all. Taken down by the Goddess of Death. Down goes Sword. And we are starting to see Legit L once again in overtime. Creeping on in to point number 2. 1 minute and a half left on the board. Such a close setup here. A little bit of pressure sent on in. Legit L still has that Captain America holding on to it for the moment as they've not been eliminated. Gonna take out some Loki clones on the backline. Cause a distraction. Be a delay. Be annoying. Seong-hun cloning onto the Lunar Snow. Gonna be matched by Dawn. Fate of both worlds. Clobbering time coming out from Sword as they try to break on through this here. Split takes out Seong Hood, who was the clone, onto the Lunar Snow. Rose fans drops their Fate of both worlds, but they are alone here. Betrays just wipe them off the board. And legit L's push has once again been swapped. Hanlu Road is sticking with this Captain America. They've got an ult for it, so they might as well lock it in. They're sticking with the three. They're sticking with a 3 tank of their own as Bibiak loses the Hela and brings out the Magneto. Hanlu Road try to drive on through. They have the assemble to try and set this up. Asuko has the Eye of Agamotto to try and burst on through if they need it here. Trying to hold the front line, pushing on in. Eye of Agamotto takes out basically everyone with the stun, but where's the damage to finish it? Assemble was dropped as well for the extra speed to try and push their way in, but they're not finishing anyone. The healing from Don't Live Like This with the Fate of both worlds is too hard to deal with. Clobbering time, trying to take out Bibiak. Media M in the tunnel, right onto the shield. They tag on through, but a lot of damage is dealt as they try to finish off Sword, but no one's going down. Dawn with the Fate of both worlds. November with the Horde of Proteus, but they go down as well. It's a 1-for-1, 2-for-1. Split will fall. Asuko's getting some pickups here, trying to turn this round. All of the ornaments are going down, but Rose fans with the last Fate of both worlds out of all of the teams. It's giving their team the last second sustain to try and push on in. Hanlu Road is in the backline, desperately trying to burn through. Barcode is down, and once again we're in overtime as legit L push on in. Looking for a triple cap, but they can't afford to lose the point. They can't afford to go down, not even for a moment. Hanlu Road pressuring in, a couple shield bounces. Trying to get some pressure onto Strange. Barcode up high, does not have Eye of Agamotto. Asuko does though! Diving team gets absolutely bodied though! Has Portal to get back onto the point if their team holds. It's Hanlu Road now, who's having to hold it, getting stunned down. They're still touching. Bibiak holding it, but we're seeing Hanlu getting focused down here. They drop the assemble to try and hold it through here. Seong Hood does not have a clone. Rose fans is taken out. That portal needs to come in fast. November swaps onto the Hela. In the meantime, Sword is melting through. Hanlu Road is down. November's down. Bibiak's down. Asuko is down. And the point is held.
The current score is 0-2-2.
That was round 1.
Switch things up.
Good heavens.
Side you're on.
2 points, 119 meters, 39 centimeters. Now it is time for Betrays to attack themselves. What are we seeing? November. Sticking with the Namor, moving off of that Hela. But it looks like legit L are going to be sticking with that triple Vanguard style that they just yoinked off of Betrays.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Oh, Franklin and Val told me about you. You're some kind of a super pop star, right?
Yeah, I can play you a few of my tracks.
Finally, the Lunar Snow for Betrays. The last
Thanks,
pickup
but,
there.
Damn, really more of a classic rock guy, you know.
Pressure is on. This could be it. If Betrays can outpush legit L here, then legit L, one of the favorites to win the entire tournament, are out.
Some call me arrogant. Mostly they're jealous.
There's so much on the line here. Portal. Offset. Just in case they got counter-portaled. And already, legit L are up on the high ground, looking to flank them in case they tried for a walk-in themselves. Immediately, Barco going to take advantage of that. If you guys are going to be up there, I'm going to step onto the point and start trying to cap it here. Immediately, we see Asuko pushing on down themselves here. Dawn dropping low, but is keeping the team topped up. Keeps the pressure on, trying to keep Barcode in the fight. Asuko also getting focused down here, will get picked off. First to fall in this fight, Bibiak trying to deal with the Nemortis here and the Lokis. Up to the high ground, getting focused down though, and betrays. Absolutely melt legit L. That is going to be point number 1, going to be claimed. November is not a great spot right now. Don't really want to be here. Very isolated from their team. They're going to go down. They are now very staggered and will not be with their team for a while, which means a lot of free distance is going to come in here for betrays. Bibiak, a little bit of extra pressure. Just continuously doing a lot of damage. Fine split on the flank. The Squids, though, doing a little bit too much damage. They're forced to back away here. Good damage onto Sword, but the lift takes them up. Dawn, Fate of Both Worlds. Young-Hood activates it, but holds onto the actual Fate of Both Worlds so they can time it out. Border Proteus comes in, not enough for a finishing blow onto Bibiak here. Overlap coming in. Dawn losing a little bit of value here, but it's still going to try and take it. Don't live like this. Asuko Ayamagamoto into the Meteor M to try and set up. Not enough damage to finish off through the Lunar Snow, but Dawn is the first to fall. Rose fans staggering their ultimate a little bit better. Legit L looking solid this time and starting to push them back. Split and Barcode both taken down, as is Sword. Legit L holding the line for the moment. Betrays. They have that Meteor M. They've got something for the turnaround. Sent over to the other side. Good healing. Nothing really initially special here. Legit L, Hanlu Road has brought out the thing of their own here to try to stay through. Clobbering time already used, but they're just trying to deal with this front line. Gogoro blocked by the Aquatic Blessing from November. They're protecting their own backline. Very nicely done, but now Sword has their own clobbering time to try and set up, and the Fate of Both Worlds was dropped immediately, allowing the team to tank on through. Dawn with their own Fate of Both Worlds to try and match the Young-Hood. Ayamagamoto at the available for Rib Asuko, waiting for that Fate of Both Worlds to expire so they can try and lock down that backline. Split, not in this fight. Ayamagamoto launched in, absolutely denied. Don't live like this. Shutting them down with the snowball. Bibiak will be finished off here. These fights are taking a long time. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Clobbering time comes on out from Hanlu Road. And this time, Legit L will take the momentum. This time, they will burst on through and Betrays are forced back to spawn once again. 2 minutes and 37 seconds to hit point number 2. And what do Betrays do differently? The answer is exactly nothing. By the looks of it, they're just going to run the exact same thing again. Up to the high ground. Map heal is available, but they're getting pretty badly shot up here. Sword will be wrapping around here. Bibiak sending in a little damage to the flankers. Shutting down that side wall, forcing them up to the high ground. But this does mean that Bibiak and Hanlu are about to get closed in on here. Trying to wrap around, trying to get the back line, trying to finish off Magneto. Gogoro is trying to hold the line. Clobbering time comes out from Sword as they finish their flank. Meteor M from Bibiak to give time for them to get healed up, but the Fate of Both Worlds will shut it down as we see the sidestep coming in. Border Proteus takes out November and Hanlu Road falls, and suddenly Legit L are on full retreat. Young-Hood gets taken down. Rose fans Fate of Both Worlds expires, and with Bibiak falling, it's down to a portal if they want to try and contest. Do they want to contest? Waiting for the team to respawn. They're going in. Hanlu Road starting off. Stone Haymakers. They have that clobbering time to try and turn it around. Ayamagamoto comes in from Barco to try and defend them here. Fate of Both Worlds being dropped. Ayamagamoto from Asuko to try and burst on through as Gogoro takes out Hanlu with the Meteor M. The portal goes down as Asuko falls, and once again Betrays are snowballing through as they deny the portal defense and will push on to point number 2, taking this down to a game of distance. 119 meters and 39 centimeters is all that lies between Legit L and being eliminated. If Legit L can put a stop to them in the next 70 or so meters, then Legit L remain in this series. If Betrays can hit that finish line down at the bottom of the hill, then they will be moving on to the lower bracket quarterfinals. The match is on. Clobbering time interrupted, put in a half cooldown. Hardloo Road still sustaining through though. Half cooldown is better than no cooldown. Asuko is taken down though, as is November, as Betrays continue to snowball. Once they got that momentum, they are not letting it go. Rose fans is buying some time for the team, but the fate of both worlds. Young Hood is forced to back out and is basically taken out of this fight, but will make their way back into getting healed up as Bibiak with the Meteor M tries to finish someone off, but will not get enough damage. Clobbering time comes out from Hardloo Road this time as they try to turn it round. Fate of both worlds from Seong Hood cloning in this time to buy some time. Don't live like this with their own to buy that extra healing time. Horde of Proteus came out. Meteor M and the Eye of Agamotto takes out Seong Hood on the backline, removing that Loki clone, meaning that Don't Live Like This had the only Fate of both worlds active for a while, and Legit L are feeling it as once again they begin to get melted, and it's a full team wipe. Betrays continue to creep on in. Slow and steady, step by step. The battle of attrition seems to be going in their favor. The Thing has been abandoned in favor of the Hulk. Give the buff to Asuko. Try and let them sustain that way. Clobbering time comes out. Eye of Agamotto to start a split. Trying to focus them down. It's right on the finish line. It's down to this. With 20 seconds left, if Legit L can clear them out here and hold through the portal, they might be able to take it. They're trying to push on through. They can't afford to let anyone stay on that point. They must drive them back. It creeps forward. It's so close. Rose fans is healing the team. Down goes Sword, and it's a team wipe. Betrays are forced off the point. Who can save it? No one can. They hold just long enough. By almost exactly 1 meter. Legit L keep their tournament lives alive. Bringing us to a 2-2 in this best of 5. Asuko takes MVP. And we are now set up for a final game. Look at these statistics. We'll run through them quite quickly here. Most eliminations. The SVP just missing out on Split with 42 eliminations, who also tops the final hits. There was 17, doing huge work for their team here. Top damage, 38k. Just beating out Rip Asuko. It is going to be Sword once again. SVP for a reason. Doing some good work there. Least amount of times getting eliminated. It's gonna be Seong-hun on that Loki. Only getting taken out 6 times. 1 less than Gogora, Sword, Dawn, and Don't Live Like This. Top damage blocked. 64k. 1k more than Barcode. It's going to be Rip Asuko asserting strange dominance. They also beat them in damage by 2k. But Barcode did get 1 more elimination. And finally healing. It's the closest we've had so far. But it's going to be Dawn by 2k sniping out over Seong-hun. And with that, we are getting set up for a map number 5. I'm not going to make you wait for my waffling. We're going to get set up. I will see you in just a moment to decide who will go on to that lower bracket quarterfinal and who will be eliminated and have to return in Season 2.
Which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear. My energy is next level, so damn you better be careful. I got an angel and devil, he snaps me straight in the temple. I'm ready to be a rebel, I've got a lot of potential hidden inside of this vessel. That shit is so exponential. I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place. Oh.
And we are back for map number 5, Royal Palace. Once again, very appropriate. This is where we will crown a team to move on to that lower bracket quarterfinal, but where one other team will be banished from the tournament and have to wait until Season 2. We're going very fast here. We've already seen Psylocke and Loki getting taken away. Groot is allowed through once again. You can only ban Loki or Groot. Legit L forced to make the decision. Once again, Star-Lord is taken out. Just don't let him have it. And Rocket will be removed one more time for Legit
Pick your hero
L.
or villain.
Trying to
I'm
nerf
not judging.
that Winter Soldier. But once again, that leaves open Luna Snow and Namor. Which Legit L doesn't look like they want to pick. Interesting here. They are running Luna Snow, Mantis, and Adam Warlock, and Storm as their main damage. Not running the Namor. Very interesting here. Now, Storm could be huge. The damage output is massive. They're also looking at the Hulk again to empower Rip Asuko. There's some interesting potential in this composition, but it's a little less conventional than what we've been seeing so far. Also, the return of the Hulk at the end of the Season 1 games, starting to sneak back into a couple games here. Betrays. They're sticking with what they know works. Triple Vanguard, Luna Snow, and Invisible Woman. Insane support there. And they are sticking with Namor. Split did huge work last game.
4, 3, 2,
Rose fans going to be giving their team a little bit of a speed boost. Nope, not giving their team a speed boost out of base. They're just going to let Storm do it. Portal coming in here.
The noble place.
Right up to the point. Immediately, we're going to see Betrays doing the same thing. Oops, wrong button. Sorry. Gogora. Sword takes out November right off the bat. Using the team up, they wipe out Bibiak as well. November will return. Using the team up strat of starting on the Wanda and then swapping over to the Magneto. Right as they step out. Giving them that team up potential and still allowing that Luna Snow to be played by Dawn as they swap after they've activated the team up. Meaning you get the full duration. Bibiak taken out again here. On cooldown almost. Jung-Ho getting rushed here. Great sleep onto Gogora, who does fall. And while they are losing Storm on basically cooldown, they're getting a lot of damage output. Aya Agamotto coming out so early here. Only really locking down Barcode, who's sustaining thanks to Dawn. Straggling Prison to try and lock him down. November will fall. Rose fans keeping the team up, but it's not enough to finish any blows here. Invisible Boundary, counter Aya Agamotto on cooldown. Half cooldown with the interrupt. Trying to push their way in. Legit L giving everything with the shocks. Once again, Bibiak will fall. Hanlu Road, though, breaking this down. And they are basically sacrificing Storm every single fight. But they are starting to win. They're starting to get some momentum going here. As Betrays will make their way back in. As first points go over to Legit L. Pushing on in. Barcode almost all the way back up to that Eye of Agamotto, but they got half interrupted onto the half cooldown. Rip Asuko, they use theirs, and they're almost already back. Here comes the Omega Hurricane to try and burst on through. Big damage output, but the sustain is too much. Split will be the only one to fall here. Gogoro use the Meteor M, trying to get the counter, but it's in fact going to be an absolute massacre. Bibiak will fall again, but Legit L are starting to clean them out. They lose 2 members, losing the Bruce Banner and the Storm, but they hold the point. They drive back Betrays, and as such, they're keeping it going.
You captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Betrays giving it everything they have right now. Portal will be back in just over a minute. Wow, 16 seconds. I've really miscounted that. November charging out Cosmic Cluster, trying to take out Dawn with the burst. Not enough. Will be forced to back away. Trying to find people on the flank, as finally it looks like Betrays have broken containment. November has the soul bonds. They're getting focused down here and will get taken out. Asuka with the fader, but with the Eye of Agamotto though. Seung Hoon dropping the protection. In comes Rosefan as well. They are layering up every strategist ultimate here. The Karmic Revival comes down, but November might fall through it as they get focused down and picked off here. Hulk Smash is buying a little bit of time, but Betrays have so much momentum here. They've staggered their ultimates beautifully, and they are the ones who are starting to get the momentum. Down goes Asuka. Bibiak is once again down. Hulk is slowly getting whittled down. Indestructible Guard is well destructible, and down they go. Hunlu Road will fall here. They're staggering the elimination. They know the drill. Off the edge you go.
That much closer to victory.
Betrays finally on the point and in overtime as Legit L almost claimed the round there. Hulk transformation coming back in. Team regrouping. Pushing in a little bit early before Hunlu Road is even there. They also have Portal available. 24% currently for Betrays. Gogora sieging in here. Omega Hurricane coming in. They're going to use this as the angle to try and push on in. They're at half health here, so if they don't get out of here after they use this, they're in serious trouble. There we go. Jump Pack tries to get them out of danger, getting healed up quite effectively, but they're also getting targeted pretty hard. But that's going to be a full team wipe. That's overtime. And even with Strange coming back, they won't come back to Portal in time. And that's going to be round number 1 of map 5 going over to Legit L. A smashing performance so far. Throne Room. This could be where Legit L lock it in. We've talked about it, how appropriate it is to ascend on Throne Room. But Betrays, they're going to be looking to shut it down and take us to the Garden. Sticking with the same composition. Both these teams know these compositions work. Legit L. I mean, let's have a look. Let's have a quick look at the stats here. Bibiak has been taken out 5 times, more than literally anyone else in the game. They've only done 8k damage, which is a little bit higher than the Namor, but lower than Asuko. So they're still doing damage. They're getting taken out. The fact is, they're doing their job. They're doing damage. They're being a distraction. Their team has been taken out less. If it takes one person going down to win the round, and hey, who are we to argue? Portal for Barcode and for Asuko. Gonna go in for the portal from behind. They take the battle. Gogora sending in the damage, lots of shields, trying to take out some of those Loki clones. Landing onto Bibiak here. Eye of Agamotto onto November as they try to take him down, but that soul rejuvenation is not enough to sustain. Dawn also falls though. Split taking it down. November will return thanks to that self-cocoon. And with Barcode out, Gogoro getting focused down on 5 HP, finally gets taken out. And Legit L once again take the initial fight and will grab the first percentage. Hunlu Road. Creating the zone up on the high ground. Asuko with them. It's going to be a low ground engage for Betrays. They know that the high ground has been taken. They move on in from below instead to try and move directly onto the point. Groot walling, trying to separate the tanks from their healers, and is doing a pretty good job here. Straggling Prison to lock down Rose fans, but a Fate of Both Worlds will shut down the re-engage. Hulk Smash zoning away onto Split, who swapped to Hela to try and make their way back into this fight. That's a great Gamma Burst to push on through. And once again, Betrays are getting completely wiped here. Dawn getting focused down. Gogara has moved off Magneto. They're copying. They're bringing out the Adam Warlock of their own. November has Karmic Revival, but legit L just wiped Betrays twice. Is this Adam Warlock the choice they need? Using the Hela to try and focus down the Storm even more than they have been already. Sticking on speed mode instead of damage mode to just try and get a little bit of extra mobility so it's harder to hit with that Hela. Keeping the pressure on. Omega Hurricane coming in to the back line. Immediate invisible barrier to hold it, but with the Eye of Agamotto, they pull him in, group him up, and it's a complete team wipe! Betrays deleted, 90%! It's down to Barcode. They don't have Portal. There's nothing left. It's all over, ladies and gentlemen, with an incredible setup. It's gonna be legit L. They lock in, and in game number 5, they are able to claim victory on Royal Palace. They will be moving on in the lower bracket to that lower bracket quarterfinal. Commiserations to Betrays. They're not able to bring it home this time, but they just took a team with multiple third place members to the absolute limit. Betrays, they are a team to watch out for in Season 2. What a magnificent performance. MVP is Rip Asuko. 27 eliminations, 14 of which are final hits, and 17k damage, topping in almost every stat. They almost top in least amount of times getting eliminated, but Rose fans beat them by 1. They almost topped damage blocked. They do on their team, but they are beaten out by Barcode and by Sword there. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second there. And of course, they don't top healing, as they do not have healing. But Asuko doing insane work. Well-deserved MVP here. And the top healing does go over to Dawn, but it's not enough to bring it home. The Wombo was huge. Bibiak, they did not go down. We talked about how they got taken. They were being targeted. After round 1, they didn't get taken out a single other time. They had 5 times getting eliminated at the end of round 1, and 5 times getting eliminated at the end of round 2. They just did not go down that round. It was so dominant by legit L. They took the momentum, and they bring it home. They will now be moving on to that lower bracket quarterfinal, where they will be playing against Evil Lobelia or Genji Academy. That will be the day after tomorrow's game. Tomorrow's game, though, will be going on to our first upper bracket semi-final. XOXO01 versus New Moon. So make sure you subscribe, and we will be covering that. Also, a reminder that we will be covering all of the regions just in sequence. I don't know which one I'm going to do next out of Europe or NA. Probably... I'll have to look what I did last season. I'll probably just do it in order of release, so it's probably going to be Europe, but we will see. As time goes on, maybe I'll do NA first. We will see. But either way, we're doing Asia first, and then after I've done those PC games, the round of 8s for all the PC games, I'll be moving on to the console games, and I will be doing multiple games there. I'll be doing some of the initial lower-ranked games because in the open qualifiers, because I had some requests for some teams to cast from some viewers, and I want to make sure that we cover those. And of course, I will be doing a lot of the big double elim bracket stuff that we make our way through. I'll basically be doing the maths of how many games it will take to get us to the start of Season 2, and I'll be making sure that I cast that many games, so that there will be no gap between Season 2 and Season 1. That's the plan. We'll see if it gets executed. For now, though, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. I have been Tetcher. Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you can see when those games go live. And a reminder that you can get to see them early if you become a member, like the wonderful John, Doki Poki, and Roshila. Thank you all very much for watching. I've been Tetcher. I'm going to rest my voice, and I will see you all tomorrow.